Good morning, Internet. How are you today? It's not Friday, but I kind of wanted just to have a little bit of a chat. Um, I want to talk today about narcissistic jealousy. Now, how can I say this? There are a lot of people on YouTube who talk about this narcissism stuff, and I know I'm one of them. But I'm looking at it more as an observer than as a counselor, I guess. Because it's one of those things where when you finally get out of the fog of the drama that you've been in, you really see the whole kind of theatrical production for what it is. And at least for me, I just like to pick it apart and see all these weird, I guess, tics and habits these insecure people have. And so I want to talk about jealousy because it seems like it just kind of comes in these weird stages. And narcissistic people just do it the best. Like they're just so extra about it. They just can't deal that some people are better at some things than them. They have to be perfect at everything. And that is such a tedious life to live. I couldn't even live like that, man. That's just painful. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory. So, I do things outside of YouTube. This is not my main source of income, obviously, because, I do things other than this. This is just an outlet for me. But I can always tell in my line of work who's jealous and who's not. And look, I'm not the best at what I do. Right? But I love what I do. I put passion in what I do. And I find that narcissistic people are not jealous of the execution of whatever you do. They're jealous of the passion that fuels it, that you care about something because you want it to be a good deliverable. You want it to be a good product. You want it to be a good story, a good piece of art, a good book, a good thesis for someone else. Like you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about how you can make this better for someone else's enjoyment, right? So, in the line of work I do, I have a lot of people who do the following things, and this is how I know how jealous they are, right? If I have a success, they never say anything. And I found that, yes, some people will say some side comments or whatever, but I don't get that because I guess the narcissistic people around me kind of know that I'll kind of jump in their ass with, both feet. So they don't want the smoke. They don't want the confrontation. But they won't say anything. They'll stare. They have this stare when they're studying you, and you can just see the rage frothing in their eyes like Santorum, right? The second thing they'll do is they'll try to mimic you, right? Even though they don't even know what you do and how many years of work that you've put into whatever your passion, work, whatever it is, they'll try to mimic it. Or they'll try to mimic you, right? To just let you know that they can do it too. Anything you can do, I can do better, which is stupid. But they'll even try to mimic your fashion sense. I've had plenty of people do that for me. They'll try to mimic your speech. They'll try to mimic your purchases. They'll try to mimic you because they see that there's a part, I guess, of their MO that's sorely lacking. So they'll mimic you. Another thing they'll do is they'll intentionally try to sabotage you, right? If they can. And typically these are people who have close access to you. My former spouse sabotaged me all the time. Whenever I was doing any kind of work or any kind of function that was without him, he would completely do his best to make sure that arguments happened when it was time to do said function or said work, or that things kind of magically went missing. Keys went missing. Shoes went missing. Uniform was dirty when it shouldn't have been. Stuff like that, I find it very interesting that instead of being your best self instead of going and doing more training and doing more work, instead of like just knowing that the biggest room in the world is self-improvement, and that narcissistic people don't want to do that. Like, they'll improve what they feel they need to improve for attention, but they won't improve anything fucking else. And that blows my mind. All of the work they put in to create drama, to create enemies, to scare people away, they could literally do that work for themselves and actually not be assholes. And they choose actively to be assholes instead of doing that kind of work. And that's what I'm kind of making this segment about. Last but not least, they'll talk about you to other people. Like, they'll do a smear campaign, even though you're quote unquote the supply still. If they see that you're doing better than them, they'll start to talk to other people about you and try to have other people gang in as well. You know, so you have to kind of keep a really stiff upper lip and like keep your spirit clean so that people will see in time, not initially, but in time, that you're just minding your own business and doing your own thing, right? So they do all this stuff. I mean, doesn't it bother you? Doesn't it like really blow your mind that someone will actively try to tear you down and destroy you instead of just doing the work themselves? I mean, seriously, doesn't that like do something to you? It does something to me. It makes me think that these people are pathetic, right? Like, you have all the time in the world. You have a finite amount of time to do something great, but instead you decide to just ruin someone else's life so then you can just stand on your little anthill and piss on the ashes that don't even exist. I don't know. I've had some of this happen to me lately, especially the mimicry and the talking about stuff, the smear campaign stuff, I guess that's what they call it. And I just laugh. I'm like, I'm here doing what I love and making money doing it. And you're putting all that energy into negativity, which you're going to get back. I mean, you get what you give. That's just, that's just law. So, I don't know. It was just a conversation I was thinking in my head, and I just want to talk about it. You have a good day, Internet, and enjoy your weekend.